the more you push it forward, the more expensive it becomes.
So
Remember, my
yeah.
planner was telling me that once this thing enters
Yes.
December and crosses into the new year, there's a way
The
the wedding industry,
yes.
everybody adjusts their prices. We don't want to spend more than 2 to 3 months worth of our combined income.
This is how much we are going to put everything. Find a way to
Yes.
fit into this budget.
Yes. Anybody that decides that this thing must be done that way, they should be responsible for paying for it.
Thank
Saying that nobody makes the rules. Like, who made the rule? I always ask somebody when they say, "Oh, this how this thing's supposed to be done." I said, "Says who?" If I had much more to splurge on my wedding, I would have made it a movie. Like, I would have had more videographers, more photographers, them doing interview, them making like a proper wedding movie.
Welcome to another episode of the Knotty Details, where we go behind the scenes and talk about conversations around planning a wedding. Some I talked about, some not so much. But I'm very excited about today's episode, where we talk about finances when planning a wedding. Some of these decisions we inherit, some are the pressures we get put on by society, or family, or friends. And today we're talking to a bride. Very excited about her. The moment I saw her wedding video and all the things she did to make her wedding meaningful, yet work within her budget, I knew that I wanted to hear how she was able to do that. So we have Anne in the studio with us today. Thank you, Anne, for coming.
Thank you for
Anne
having
is
me.
a content producer, and as I've told her, an all-round sweet babe. She just has that sweet babe energy. Thank you, Anne, for
Thank you.
joining
Thank you for
us.
having me.
Let's talk about. I want to hear about your wedding planning process.
Okay.
From the beginning, what vision did you have? So before you started planning,
Mhm.
what were you thinking your wedding would be like?
Okay. So first of all, after I got proposed to, that was in like September. And this kind of person that actually do not like planning. I hate events and all of that. Whenever I have one coming up, it stresses me a lot and it can be very overwhelming. But I like things to be planned properly, you know. So it's something I kind of run away from. And for a long time, I kind of procrastinated the whole wedding thing. It kept on, don't worry, we'll pick a date, because I didn't just want to get into it. And I'm also not the kind of person that I know. I mean, there's some girls that, right from when they were young, they had this
Yes.
vision
Of what?
of like what they want their wedding to be, very
Uh-huh.
dreamy and all of that. I didn't have that. But something about me is that whatever I'm doing, I like to be intentional about it. I feel like whatever is worth doing is worth doing well. And when you're doing certain things, I don't believe in just doing things to, follow the bandwagon. I believe in doing things that feel like you, right? If it's the way I will dress, I want to feel like me. I like when I look at people and, they have character
Yeah.
that I can tell just from your person, like just from your appearance, like the kind of person you are.
Yeah.
Or I walk into a space and I can tell, oh, this, feels like this person, so that's what I had in mind for my weddings. I'm like, I want it to feel like, Anne's wedding. I want it to be intentional, be thoughtful, be intimate, because I don't consider myself like a very loud person. I'm not the kind of person that will have like friends and friends and friends, like lots of friends. I just have
Yeah.
like a small, neat circle and a community that, I like to keep that way. So that's what it was for me. I wanted them to have a good time and I wanted to have a good experience as well.
Okay. So when you talk about procrastinating, how long did you push the decision back for?
Oh, I got the asked to marry me in September, that was 2023. And as January the following day, like it's funny because me and like two other of my friends, we all got engaged like at the same
Same
time.
time.
One of them got engaged in August, another one was the day after me, and by January they had already done introduction, and they had already started making plans. They had fixed it. They were both in August, and January, February, March, April, June. I hadn't picked a wedding date because there's this thing about let's put certain things in place, let's make money, let's do
Yeah.
this. even scripture talks about having, like, if you wait for perfect conditions, you
You
never get
never, yeah.
anything done, right? So I think that was what it was, just dragging feet. And there was part of, oh, should we do introduction first? And ended up not doing the introduction the way it was supposed to be. So I think after the whole proposal, I and my fiance at the time had already been to Port Harcourt, went to Port Harcourt. It was my dad's birthday. So I went so that he meets like my family
Yeah.
officially, so that they familiarize themselves with him, and all of that. And although like my siblings had seen him when they came to Lagos, so they know who he
Yeah.
is, I had told my mom about it. He had already told them before he had proposed to me, and all of that. So when we went to Port Harcourt, it was just, oh, and then when we spoke about the introduction, my parents, they are also considerate, because I am based in Lagos, but all of my family is based in
It's in
Port
Port Harcourt,
Harcourt,
yes.
right? So the thing is that, oh, are we now going to carry his family, travel for introduction in Port Harcourt?
Mm.
Because I feel like that's the right thing to do traditionally.
Yes.
And then for the wedding again, we still have to do that.
Do that,
So we are
yeah.
thinking about the cost
Cause
of like flights and everything. So I mean, we spoke. Eventually, there was like a virtual introduction. His dad
oh,
spoke to my dad, not like ceremony, but
yeah,
just like,
okay.
oh, this is who this
This
person
person
is.
is,
His
yeah.
dad spoke to my dad. This thing, my dad agreed to like give us the list, right? Because there's a list that they will give you that you come
Yes.
with on
Yes,
traditional
yes,
day, the
yes.
things you will buy, the things you do, and all of that. So we did all of that without having like a proper ceremony. The introduction actually happened the day before my wedding, when they had traveled, when they
And
arrived
then everything
that
was just
evening.
done at
It was in my
once.
parlor, in my daddy's parlor, right?
Yes.
So you asked me a question. So I think it was not until August, after this my two friends' wedding, that we are
No,
like, you
they
know
had
what?
gotten married.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember it was on my friend's wedding day. We were talking to another friend, and they're like, people have not still picked a date. You're like, you know what? Let's pick a date. And I think that night when we went back, we are like, okay, should we do? Because we wanted it to be that we didn't want it to enter December, most importantly, because we know that December
Can be
rush and
crazy. But
everything.
was there any pressure from like family or friends in the waiting period? Like, what's up? What's going on? Have people picked a date? What's
Not really.
happening?
Oh, they were just looking at us like, are you full serious at all? Like, how long do you want to keep pushing this thing
Same back.
forward, right?
Yeah.
So I think eventually, I'm lucky to have like an understanding family or
Family,
friends.
yeah.
Eventually, it was our friends that had to tell us
Yeah.
that you can't just keep waiting and
Dating.
waiting and waiting,
And
right?
eventually, this led to you planning your wedding in 8 weeks.
Yeah, thereabouts. So it
So,
was like mid August, right? She got
yes.
married maybe like August. It was like mid August that I had finally picked a planner. The wedding was in October.
So the day you picked a date, like because like you had been steaming over it. When you guys decided to pick a date, was it just like, okay, let's just do this thing at this time and be done?
Yes. I think I was just scared of starting the wedding planning because of what I was hearing from other people.
Yes.
And my friends were also planning weddings. Oh
So
my God.
when they hear
Call,
budget, this is how much.
budget.
Yes.
I'm like, it's millions. That's all
Yes.
you keep hearing.
Yes.
I'm like, what
Yes.
are these figures that I'm hearing?
I
Do you
mean, if you call
understand?
somebody that has just gotten married or is planning a wedding or you're in that place and you're hearing the money, you'll be like, where are you
Sis,
people
where is
finding this
no,
money?
to be honest, that's what it was. I think that it was just a little bit of fear, and also trying to make sure that, oh, everything was in place. Oh, our siblings were back. There was one we were trying to consider. Oh, when this person be back from school? When this person going to be in the country? All of that
Yes.
kind of thing, right? But eventually, because when I was worried at first, like earlier part of the year, because I'm like, if I fix my wedding to the end of the year, I feel like that's what I'll be thinking about the
About
whole
all,
year.
yeah, yes.
I'm going to spend my whole year planning the wedding,
Yes.
right? But eventually, when we picked a date, I was like, I spoke to my planner. I was like, "Is this possible?" She said, "Yes, it's very possible that it will work." Because I'm like, "This is just." I know people that plan their wedding for 6, 8 months, even like
Yes.
an entire year.
Mm.
So when she said, "No problem, it's going to work," I'm like, "Okay, cool, let's do it."
So, you've spoken about the finances and when you're talking to people about weddings, what you're
Yeah.
hearing and all of that. So, at what point did you now start having conversations around money or saying, okay, this is what we're going to spend, this is how we're going to manage it? At what point did the money part of this conversation become important or start happening?
Conversation with my husband, first of all, was, I think we have similar like ideologies about money and all of that. And I think there was a point where we are like, you know what? Because we kept on saying, oh, we are saving for money for wedding, we are saving
Really?
for wedding. We had like a wedding budget we were trying to save to, but eventually we are like, you know what? We don't want to spend more than 2 to 3 months worth of our combined income,
Mm-hmm.
right? We're like, this is what we are looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not like we're going, we knew for a fact that we didn't want to be those people that after wedding, they are looking for money. Like
Yes.
that,
So you started from the budget that you guys wanted to
yes,
spend. Like, okay, this is how much we're going to put. Everything is going to
everything.
have to find a way to
Yes,
fit into this budget.
yes. And at that point, it seemed ridiculous because we knew what maybe like our friends were spending. We knew what the
Yes.
wedding market is like, like somebody would say hall, for example, is like 5 million or 6 million, 7 million, and it is so normal. I'm like, eh?
So this conversation that you had or knowing how much you wanted to spend,
Mhm.
that happened before you went to your planner.
Yes,
So from the moment you met your planner, you told your planner, this is what I
yes,
am here to
because
spend.
when I met my planner, she had like an interview session with us,
Yes.
like a briefing to
Yeah.
understand my vision and all of that. And she'll ask, oh, what's your budget?
Yes.
I thought, I don't laugh at my budget though, but this is
Is
what I
it?
have in mind. She's like, oh, we'll try to work in it. I knew that to her. She was like, it's so small, but
Yes.
I feel like when you put a cap on something, if it
Yes.
overflows, it just a
Yes.
little bit.
Did she try to convince you? Because I've also heard couples have conversations where they when they meet the planner is like, this money will not work. Oh, this thing you cannot do this. When you met your planner, did that happen? Did she tell you, oh, this is your budget? It might not be able to work, or was she on board with you and said, let's find a way to make this work?
Oh, Ihoma is such a sweet person.
Yes.
Like I think she was very, because I mean I had not spoken about how I picked her.
Mm.
I found her on Instagram, and the reason why I went with her, I'd picked her. I thought about her like even before I reached out to her, because one day I came across someone. She says, "Oh, she's an intimate wedding planner." Specifically, I'm like, "Oh, cool." I had sent it to my husband. Oh, I'm thinking of this babe. Eventually he was like, "Okay, when we're ready." I'd reached out to her a couple of months earlier. I'm like, "Oh, I'm thinking of you for planning wedding." She was like, "Oh, she's actually based in Abuja." I'm like, "Hey, I thought that would be like the deal breaker." I told her, but when we got on a call, because I didn't want to incur extra costs, that's why I thought it would be a deal breaker. Because I'm
Yeah,
like,
because
flying
moving her
planner in or
to
something,
Port
and
Harcourt would have
yes,
been a
would
lot.
have been
Yes.
extra cost, right?
Yes.
But when I spoke to her, she understood the vision. She also really she bought into it, and she wanted to work with me. So she kind of made it work. She's not the kind of person that, tries to make you do something you're not comfortable with. She would just subtly influence
Yes.
certain decisions, but she was never like, oh, and that
That
cannot
can work.
work
I think it's
and
very
all of
important
that.
because a lot of times brides can even have pressure from their planner, which is
Yeah,
like this thing can work. And I think that brides need to understand that a lot of times you need to find who is aligned with your plan and your
yeah,
vision.
yeah.
If the planner and you cannot agree from the very go that this is how much I want to spend, and the planner is already being like, can this money do it? Then maybe you need to find a new planner that understands your
Mm,
vision. And it's okay because different planners have the kind of things that they want to
mhm.
execute. Now, between what you had planned to spend and the eventual end, how much did you stay within your budget? Did you go overboard a lot or a little? What was it like?
I'll say that we were the first budget, the first one I said was even me too. I knew that, and how do you want to
Uh,
make this work? But I just said it so that you know that we are not planning on spending
Spending
lavishly. Every naira that we spend is accounted for, right? So we went I'd say within budget. If I wanted to expand that first cost a bit, like expand this a bit, just a couple of extra on it, but it didn't feel like we spent above budget.
budget.
Another thing about the wedding, like I think is personal costs, like logistics because we
Yes,
had to
yes,
move
yes,
and all of
yes.
that. But the wedding proper, I feel like we did very good when it comes to good. I feel like if somebody else that was not maybe very intentional about spending money, or a different planner, if they had seen, if you show them my wedding and tell them you want to do that, I feel like the budget that they will give
Give
you
you will
will be
be
times 2 or 3 of what we
what
used to
is.
execute it.
Mm.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the sacrifices that you had to make, because I think that with what prices are, most times if someone is planning a wedding, you have to maybe at some point just know that if I want to have my wedding within my budget, and my budget is not unlimited or very lavish, there's some things that are conventional that might not matter to me, and maybe I need to be willing to know that I can lose these things. So let's talk about that for you. What were some of the things that you really didn't care about and you were happy losing? And what are some of the things that you might have cared a little bit about, but you lost them because you wanted to stay true to your budget?
Mm, okay, I'll try and see how many of them I can remember, because when you're planning a wedding, there are so many decisions to make
Yeah.
that you don't even think of prior to that. But I think that for me, it was just deciding what is important to me. What are my non negotiables? And my
Mm.
planner had asked me that, right? So, in terms of, I'm a content creator, content producer. I care about content. I care about my wedding pictures and
Yes.
videos. I said,
Yes.
this one, non negotiable. I have to get what I want,
Mm.
right, for this. And with that safe, it's not like, oh, I will now go for the most expensive photographer or
Photographer, yeah.
videographer. Because one thing about me, I love to find diamond in the
In the
rough
rough.
for real. Like I will search and search and search. That's how I found
Actually, that's
Ihoma.
a very good tip,
Yeah.
because sometimes the people that
And
that are
there are
already
some people that are
popular,
really good, but they are not
not popular.
popular.
Yes,
Sometimes the person that you're paying a lot, you're paying for the,
the
the
name and
branding
the
that they've
prestige.
built
Yes,
for
yes,
themselves,
yes.
right? Not necessarily the quality of images or videos that you will get. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm like, who can do the job at a good price? Because I'm also like a creative, I'm not going to like offer you something. Let me not give you the one that I'll pay you, and then 2 weeks after, where are my wedding pictures? You understand? So that for
Yes.
me was like a non-negotiable. I was like, this one we have to, like every other thing. The vendor session, she handled it, but my photography and my videography, I said, "Ihoma, I will look for the vendor by myself." Although she sent me like suggestions, we'll go through it together and all of that. But eventually, I picked the people that will handle my photos and my videos. That was like a non-negotiable for me. But then some other little things that I would consider like nice to have. Like I am I can be very thoughtful and intentional, like I mentioned. I love gestures, and I wanted to like gift, my friends. And because first of all, another reason why we had, delayed with the whole wedding planning thing was because of, we're trying to decide where to do the wedding, whether, oh, we should have one in Lagos, we should have another one
No,
in
in
Port
Port
Harcourt.
Harcourt.
But that was just going to be like an unnecessary cost. I'm like, you know what, if we are going to Port Harcourt to do the traditional, we might as well do the joining ceremony there.
There.
So we spoke to my friends, and my friends were willing to travel. I think before we were thinking, oh, people will not be able to
Yes,
attend, da,
yeah.
da, da, da. But like, I am so blessed with very good friends. Me and my husband, we are they really made a sacrifice for us, coming to Port Harcourt for the wedding. Like a lot of our friends traveled in. And I felt like the least I could do was like properly pamper them.
Yes, and
If
ensure
I
they
could
have a
like,
good time.
yeah, if I could, pay for their hotels, everybody. They paid for their flights by themselves. They covered their hotels bills by themselves as well. Although sometimes they came to my house, my mom fed them and all of that. But still, I wanted to do a lot more
Mm.
for them, like maybe arrange like very thoughtful gifts for each and every person, that, because I feel like it's the least you can do to
Yes,
appreciate
after they've
people.
come all the way.
Yeah, that's one thing that I know that I wanted, but I could not achieve. And that one was the only thing that I can say hurts me a little bit.
Okay.
And but what I also, the flip side to it is that these people are your friends. You're not
Yes.
trying to impress them.
That
I
that
have
much is
really
true.
good friends that
That's a very
if
important
I do
point.
that,
That's
they
a
will
very
even ask
important
me,
point.
Madam, where are you getting the money from? You're planning a wedding. And the thing is that
Yes,
people
yes,
understand, unless you don't
yes.
have good
Good for,
friends.
yes, that
But
much
if you
is
do,
true.
they will always call you to order. Like, this thing is not necessary. Like, it's nice, it's this, but that's when you have like money to spare. And I mean, by God's grace, I believe that our friendship will last longer. I mean, we can decide to go on
Yeah,
a
there's
trip in
always
the
time
next
to
couple of
spoil them.
years and,
Yes.
spoil them and gift them, show up for them as well. That's one way appreciate people. When it's their own thing, you show up for
For
them, you
them.
cheer them up,
Yes.
you support
Yes.
them. There are different ways to communicate that love and appreciation that you have for them than those gestures. And I feel like it didn't really, change anything. They will still show up for me tomorrow if I call them. But certain things that, I was willing to let go, I mentioned wedding cake, for instance.
Yes, yes. This wedding cake one is very, very interesting. And when I saw like your video, and we're talking about just picking up a regular wedding cake and just having it decorated, and it looked really, really nice. It was so interesting because wedding cake is so expensive, very, very
Birthday cakes
expensive.
are expensive. Talk less of wedding
But yes.
cakes.
So what made you think that you should do that? Because that
I've
was
never, I've, that one is just like a personal bias because anytime I see people like have like gigantic, most times they don't cut that cake at the wedding. That cake is not, the cake is just like a decoration, sort of.
yeah,
Sometimes they don't share that cake. They have like other arrangements for cakes that they share
yes.
and all of that. To me, I'm just like, it's unnecessary. I was convinced that if there was no cake at my wedding, people will not notice. Because what the highest is that we'll just skip the
The cut,
cake
yes,
cutting
cake cutting.
ceremony
Yes,
part. I
yes,
was so
yes.
convinced that it's not that much of a big deal that people go the extent, oh, it has to be like 7 layers and all of that. If you're somebody that you like to be extra, you want, that's fine. Cake can be
Yes,
part
cake
of
can
your
be
art,
covered. Yeah.
right?
Yes.
But for it to be something to stress your head about, if you want like if you're planning with like a lean budget, cake is one of the first things you should scrap off your budget that I would say,
Yeah.
right? Something, for instance, another theme is, this one is almost like a pandemic. It's what's called, wedding robe that they do now.
Yes.
Every time I saw that thing, I'm like, I don't get it. Why is there a, because at first it was like something cute you just wear
Yes.
like a
Yes.
nice robe. It now became something that you are paying designers for. So if you see most of their, when they send you like
Oh
their rate cards
right.
and everything, you see wedding robe. And sometimes you see people's wedding robe that looks like an actual wedding dress, like a
Yes.
simple
Yes.
wedding dress
Yes.
that
Yes. It
but I'm
does.
like, and
Why all
when
the
you see the prices for
for
those
those
wedding
robes?
robes,
Yes.
I'm like, no way. I'm like, I'm going to wear pajamas. I will wear like, left me alone, I wear like a big t-shirt and shorts
Yes.
because I felt
Yes.
like, because there are things that would pass and you would even forget
Yes.
about them.
That doesn't
If I
actually
ask you what
affect
did
the
I wear on my
day.
wedding morning, you might not
You don't
really
even
remember, but
remember.
I couldn't even find where to get like the original like silk. I bought from a, what do they call them? Like a thrift page.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I saw so cheap, but I saw a really nice one that was like pink and silk. That's what I wanted. And that's
Yes.
the only place I saw it. I spent like 7,000 naira
And he did
on
the
it.
job.
And it did the job. And if I
That's
don't
all that
tell you,
matters.
probably will
We
not
don't
know.
know. Mm-hmm.
Right. And I'm not saying, I mean, if you have the money to spend on that, but I feel like that's not something you should pressure yourself about. That's me. I'm like, I'm soft. That's the vibe that I wanted to go for. I didn't think anything extra
Sure. Yeah.
was needed. That's why I made that decision.
Another thing that I saw that you did, and I think this is very important because my cousin is getting married, and I have been her wedding dress trier. And when we are going wedding dress shopping, one and only question was, is it impossible to get a wedding dress for 1 million naira? And like she went all like she really at the end of the day she upped her budget, but she saw a dress that she really liked and she was like, okay, this is one of the places where I am willing to move on my budget. And I saw what you did around your wedding dress, where you used a 3-in-1 dress, you
Yeah.
used your mom's dress for the traditional. And so just tell me what made you make that decision and how you felt or how other people or how conversations you had around your decision for your wedding dress. Because I know that while a lot of people might say, okay, let me make concessions here and there, when it comes to a wedding dress, the wedding dress is so revered, the wedding dress.
Yeah.
So how was that?
Okay. So for my wedding dress, I wanted my wedding dress to be very Anne, like to be very me,
You, yes.
right? And I already had like an idea of what I wanted. But then because of my budget, it was something that I was willing to, let's see. I was like open to discussions. I'm like, let me even go and see what is available for rentals. So I did a little bit of that, went to look for what I could rent because to me, I don't see the point, right? And sometimes they'll say it's because you don't have money, that's why you're talking like that.
Yes. But it's
Of
not.
like spending like a lot of money on a dress that I'll wear once. Although it's my wedding dress, but I'll wear it and after that day, that's it. It's
Yes,
for
yeah.
pictures. So I might as well rent it, right? It will serve the same purpose.
Purpose, yeah.
Um, so I did that and I couldn't just find what met my taste, like what I like. And when it comes to what I wear, I'm kind of like very particular about it. I didn't find any of that in the market.
To
So
rent.
yes, to
But I
rent.
also saw something around renting being very crazy.
Yeah,
How much were you
that's
getting called for rentals?
so well. At as much as like 400. At first, when I know someone
400.
that rented, she rented for like 100 and something K.
Yes. That
There was even like 80K rental
yes.
before. But as much as that for, the rental, depending on the dress you want, some
Okay.
dresses might be more. Do you understand? So when I found out about the price, I'm like, you know what? This money that they're calling for rental, I'm sure that if I search well, and I told you that it's kind of like a talent that I have.
Yes.
I don't like to go for designer stuff. Me, I like to be very functional. Like what works, right? Who can do this thing? I don't care if nobody knows your name. As far as I see talent, if I believe in you, I feel like I'm creative enough. And if I see someone that just has a little bit of that thing, I'm able
You
to
can
spoil
guide
it
them
and
and
guide
yeah.
you and be able to help you achieve wondrous things that you would never imagine you can even achieve. Right. So
Yeah.
that's what I started
Yeah.
to search. I'm like, you know what? I believe that if I give somebody this money, they'll collect it. I don't want to know whether you just did your tailoring training 2 weeks ago. All I know is that this money is something people can
Can
work
work
with.
with. Yes.
There's this thing about, generalization, like, oh, you will never find wedding dress less than 1 million. My wedding dress was way less than 1 million naira, right? You never find wedding dress less than 1 million. So when I started doing that, I knew I wanted to wear the dress. So I'd already thought, maybe after party, I'll just buy another simple like dress, like off the shelf, because of the vibe I was going for, very simple. But then somewhere in between, me looking for style, I had, a thought, because I wanted my this thing to be like a skirt. Like for I'm like, since I want it to be like a corseted top and then a skirt, I can as well change the two skirts into a mini skirt. So it's
Yes.
like a different look, right? So when I eventually I searched and searched and found someone. I went to her. When I told her about it, she was sold. Like she loved the idea. She's like, "Oh my god, you can totally do it." At this time, it was like maybe 3 weeks to my
To
wedding. I'm
3 weeks
telling
you're
you,
ready.
yeah.
You didn't budge up until that point.
My plan kept on saying, "And where's your wedding dress?" I'm like, "Don't worry, I'm still searching. I'll find it."
Were you panicking at any point? Like,
I wasn't panicking because worst case scenario is that I will end up with something from the rental if it was that.
okay,
But I
yeah.
was I was kind of convinced that
Convenient as
I should find someone, right?
okay.
When you're planning a wedding, there's a lot of pressure
Yes, there
actually. So
is.
yes, I was under pressure to find someone because my friends be calling me, wait, have you got your wedding dress? Have you gotten this? Have you gotten that? So eventually when I spoke to her about it, I'm like, can we do it in this? She was like, yes, that she would try for me and everything. She did my dress in less than 2 weeks actually, because I had to travel earlier for the wedding. I had like a project. I had to be on set in Port Harcourt for a while before my wedding, like a week and more before my wedding. So I left earlier and I told her I have to leave Lagos with my wedding dress. I don't want to hear anything. Do you understand? So she now came up with the idea because when I had, done the sketch and everything, it was like a long sleeve dress. But she came up with the idea that, what, since you want to switch that look to like an after party look,
Yeah.
let's make the sleeve detachable,
Okay.
right? So that's what now give it the three looks. That's what you when you work with people that have sense
Yeah, you
and
get
are
creative
smart
and
and creative.
yes.
Yeah, that's what it was. So I'm like, yeah, that's a really brilliant idea. And I loved the dress because on one hand, it was so me, it was functional, I could use it. And I'm like, oh, even the blouse, I can like wear it some other
After
time after the
the wedding.
wedding, and all of that. Well, the wedding dress is not really my size anymore. I'm looking for who to sell it to because that's what we think of when we, plan. But you don't know what's plan nature
Bands,
has
yeah,
for you.
yes.
But right now, you just was like, this is not, I had to tell myself not to overthink it, right? But in the end, I ended up loving it. Like I loved the look.
It looks really nice.
Yeah, with my hair and everything. I'm like, cool. This is good.
Yes.
I felt that was one of my greatest achievements for my wedding. That I decided that I wasn't going to, spend a fortune on my wedding dress, and I did. Yes, I got like a very beautiful dress.
Okay, so thank you. Very quickly, talking about dress, there are other parts of the ladies' look that can cost so
Oh
much. So
yes.
very quickly, I just want to touch on hair and makeup
Mm-hmm.
and how you sort of manage those costs. Because when you
Okay.
hear how much they're charging to lay hair, to buy wig, and to do
Yeah.
makeup, it is unbelievable.
So, for instance, makeup, right? I'm very particular about my makeup. I had I have like in Lagos, I have just one makeup artist that I trust to touch my face. I rather do my makeup by myself and everything. But for my wedding, I know that it's not that bad. Even though you're trying to cut, because what do you mean you want to do your makeup by yourself for your wedding day? And because of my makeup artist was in Lagos, I couldn't afford, to
To
fly
take
high
her.
into Port Harcourt and
Mm.
all of that. So I had asked her for some recommendations if she knew anyone in Port Harcourt. She knows me, she understands my style. I like soft glam and all of that. And I did a bit of research as well. Makeup prices. Funny enough, I think that makeup prices in Port Harcourt were more expensive than the yes.
Really?
Like I was so shocked. I'm
Really?
like, what's going on here? But eventually I found someone, and of course, negotiation is one of the skills you need when
Yes,
you
when
trying
you're
to. I'm
yeah.
like, sis, please, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm doing this look. It's just one day, and then she handled both my trad because I did like a two
To
day
the
wedding. So I told her she was going to do both. I told her that I have a couple of friends that are going to use her as well on that because they are also traveling. They don't have like makeup artists and all of that. So I was able to like cut some change off, for the makeup artist. Then when it comes to
the hair.
hair, the whole wedding bridal hair, I know that it's a thing by itself. But me, I just decided that what I was going to use and reward myself as I was getting married, I was going to buy myself a new wig.
Yeah.
I love hair, right? And I'm like, this one, I'm going to buy a wedding hair. This is the hair that I use for a wedding, funny enough. Yes.
Still looks very good.
Of course, it's hair. I usually say that hair is good investment because I rather spend more on my. I think my hair costs more than my dress. Yeah. Because I'm still wearing the hair today, am I
Yes,
not? I've
yes,
worn
you
the hair
are.
several other times. In the next 2, 3 years, I will still be wearing the hair. So far as I take care of it and it's in good condition. But like I said, priority some people. Some people decide that they want to go natural for their wedding. It's not an abomination. I always say something that nobody makes the rules. Like who made the rule? I always ask somebody when they say, "Oh, this how this thing's supposed to be done." I said, "Says who?" Like who made the rule? So sometimes
Yeah.
people just feel pressure that I have to like
Yes.
put roses in my head and tie it up and all of that. No, if you want to, I was so close to doing ponytail. Like when
Mm.
I was thinking of the cost of the
Those-
hair and everything, when I was looking, I was so close. Like I got my hair like 3 days to my wedding eventually. Because I was like, worst case scenario, I will do ponytail. It will always looks
It's
good.
good. Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I will just buy it. If nobody is going to know because you will look good in pictures. You will look. Nobody is coming to touch your wedding picture to touch your hair
Hair.
and
Yes.
like, is it
Yes.
quality or
Yes.
like? Do you understand? So that was something that I know that I did when it comes to like hair makeup. And you had asked about like the traditional
Yes.
wedding and all of
Yes.
that. So I mean, because of the way traditional weddings are done on my side, I said that there's always a box of wrapper at
So
home.
yes.
If you're from South South, you know this that your mother has like
As
several
yes.
blouses, different colors. Because the way they do is that when they have an occasion, sometimes they'll call color like pink lace or blue
Yes.
lace,
Yes.
and they probably have all the
All the
colors,
past. Yeah.
different wrappers. So just like two wrappers we tie is called like Fanny and Popo. And those wrappers are like on the high end, like for like a bride and everything. But we have a lot at home. So my mom had sent me pictures of all the
All
ones
those
that
that
we
she
wanted,
had.
and not just she had. My mom has a lot of sisters. Like,
Okay.
oh, the
So
ones that her sisters
everywhere.
have
Yeah. Oh, that's
too.
good.
Yeah, and all of that. She sent them to me. That is all we have.
Mm.
Like maybe pick from one, and I picked from. Then eventually there was when I got to Port Harcourt, there was one my mom wanted me to change because it didn't really match the way we thought it would match. So one of her sisters said she wanted to buy a new one, so she bought that new one. That was what I used, and I gave it back
Oh,
to her.
I
Yeah,
mean, if you had not even asked, you wouldn't have even known that those
yeah,
options
exactly.
were
So
there to
in
be
the end, I
used.
didn't need to spend. I think it's just like sewing the blouse for myself, and then there's Gilly at home, and
There's always gele. There's always
the
gele
beads and
and wrapper
everything.
at
I
home.
think I
Yes,
think they also got like the beads. Sometimes they rent some of those things because
yes.
all of those things are quite expensive if you
Mm.
want to buy. There's nothing they cannot rent, even gold, whatever. I figure that, some
Yes,
things are
yes.
rentable. But
Okay.
yeah.
So thank you so much for taking us through this journey and all the ways that you saved and stuff. I think it's very important for people to hear this. I think that the most important thing you can do as a financially conscious bride or a savvy bride where you're planning your wedding is know what matters to you,
Mhm.
where you're going to spend. And then on every other thing that you know that if I lose this, it's not going to hurt me and I
Yeah.
won't look at the day with pain. You try to just find ways around them, renting, getting from family and friends, finding a way to do without them. At the end of the day, I think there's some of this pressure and rules around wedding. I don't know where they came from. Somebody just like they just somehow
Yeah.
appeared and became the rules. But I don't think there's any rule to this. It's your day. Anything that you want to do that will make you feel comfortable, I think you can do it. So finally, if there was a bride who is currently facing financial pressure
Mhm.
or is in your shoes where she's just procrastinating because she's worried about dealing with the finances. If you were talking to her, what would you tell her?
First of all, one thing that I learned concerning that procrastination was that the more you push it forward, the more expensive it becomes.
In this Nigeria, the
Because
more
I
the
remember my
Nigeria.
planner was telling me that once this thing enters
Yes.
December and crosses into the new year, there's a way
The
the wedding industry,
yes.
everybody adjusts their prices
Yes.
for the new
And
year.
honestly, by let me just chip in here. My
Yeah.
cousin that is getting married, she's getting married this year. She started her wedding planning process last
Last
year.
year.
And
Yesterday's
so,
price is not
yes.
today's
And
price.
so the vendors were asking, when is the wedding?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, okay, why is, and then they say, oh, this price ends this year. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, she said that one vendor gave her like a budget.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, let me consider other budgets and get back to you.
Yeah.
And so she just took like 3, 4 days to just consider and of course discuss with her fiance before they locked it down. And they came back and the guy said, oh, that price ended. I think she entered a new month. And he
Mm-hmm.
said, oh, that price ended from September, prices have gone
Yeah.
up. Or
Yeah.
so or a lot of what she was saying is this price is different from next year. Even the hall she wanted to book, it took a long time. She was waiting for them and they were like, wait, the venue price is going to go next year. We're waiting for them to tell us how much it will be. So you're actually right in terms of
Yeah.
prices are
Consistently
consistently
going up. So
going
if you're
up.
procrastinating, you're not even helping yourself. I'll also say that you should have your non-negotiables. Like these are
Yes.
things that the way I talked about, like content for my wedding. On my wedding morning, I was shooting content because that's my work, right?
Yes.
But when my video just did 1 million views yesterday. And I was like, imagine if
Ooh.
I meant to go and get a videographer that forgot to capture my vows or something. Like, do you
Yes,
understand?
yes.
So there are some things that you should know that this is priority to me. And you should be willing to let go of certain things. Some things that the only reason why you want them is because, oh, this is what I've dreamed of from when I was young.
Yes.
But I mean, in life we learn, we unlearn, we adjust to budget
Yes.
as well. You have to know that, oh, if I can ask yourself, can I really do without this? Is this really, really necessary? Also, who am I trying to impress? That's another thing. Anybody that decides that this thing must be done that way, they should be responsible for paying for it.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
If they say, oh, you must do this thing, ask
Yes.
them, are you going to
To
pay
pay
for it? If
for
you're
it.
going to pay for it, fine. No problem. It's
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
But once they want to put pressure on you, if it's something you cannot afford, you have to learn to use the word no. Also negotiate. It's not every price. I mean, it's business we are all doing, right? You
Yes.
have to negotiate, be able to find people within your budget. Like I said, there's always somebody willing to do
Mm-hmm.
it. Not just anyhow, but like at a very good like a good price that will also give you quality. You have to be able to search, do the work to be able to search and find people like that as well. Then pray for your vendors. Just pray to God to lead you to the right vendors, because
Yes.
I think one
Yes.
of the things that I really enjoyed was that my planner was a really good person. Like in terms of like budget, she never even took, like, aside her payments, we never paid her for anything directly. She made sure that we are paying
To
the vendors directly.
directly
She did like an entire spreadsheet. She was very transparent, in terms
in
of like
terms of
finances and
yes, yes.
everything. But I think this one is something that you have to pray for. Like my
Yes.
photographer, my videographer, nobody stressed me. They were all, willing, they were all helpful and all of that. But yeah,
Yeah, I think another thing is do the work. Like you might need to do some work, whether it's getting into the
yes.
nitty gritty of the details as to why is
Details.
this costing this,
This, yes, always
or
ask questions. So
yes,
I ask my planner a lot of questions, like, okay, why is this?
mm-hmm,
Especially with the, for instance, the decor. I think that was the one that I had to. She had to beg me like, "And please let me just handle this as well." Because I'm like, this decor was. I said that decor was the most expensive thing at my wedding,
But it
right?
looks really
Yeah, it
pretty.
looked
And
really
I
pretty.
think that's
I was
another thing with outdoor
happy.
weddings and
Yeah.
gardens
In
is
the
that
end, I was like
yes.
happy that it looked good, but
Mm.
I had to give it like this money I'm spending. I need
Uh,
to be able to see
See
it,
it,
right?
yes.
But yeah, that's that's what
That's
it
it.
is.
Thank you. Just on a lighter note, there's a man, I don't know which country he's in, who sold advertising space on his suits for his wedding. And actually, brands actually gave him money and he put their logos on his suits. And the money that he made from it not only sponsored the wedding, but gave him some
Wow,
but gave him
that's very
some
brilliant. So,
that
because me, I'm like,
but gave him some gave him some extra. So his suit was had different brand logos all
yeah,
over it. But I mean, it doesn't change his
if this is wedding,
it,
you probably even
he
trend
did
for
do
it or
already.
something.
He did trend because of that, as in because of that story. But
I think that the
in
key is, just sticking to, like I spoke about earlier, about how we knew what our capacity was.
yes,
The truth is that if we wanted to spend times 12 our wedding budget, we would have, but
yes,
not comfortably. We would stretch, we'd probably be in debt,
yeah,
and all of
that's
that.
not
But
worth it.
that was not what it. And me too. I think another thing about finances is that I had to speak to my husband. Of course, I mean, when it comes to Nigeria, there's like not just Nigeria generally, but people like who funds these, who spends on the wedding. I think my parents handle like a bit of like the traditional
Yeah,
wedding ceremony and all of that. The wife's wedding, me and my husband, we handled it. And
yes,
then
yes.
I made a decision that, you know what, I am going to handle everything that has to do with me. I am going to pay for it by myself.
Okay.
So me saying this is ringing in my head that this
This
dress
dress,
you're paying for it, my
yes,
makeup, I said I
yes.
was going to pay for it, my hair,
Okay.
everything that had to do with
Is
me,
you
I paid
pay?
for it by
Okay.
myself.
Okay.
Anywhere else that I could chip
So
in, I
yeah,
chipped in because my husband
that's
is
pretty.
richer than me.
You're
I'm just a girl.
just a girl. What can a girl do?
Yeah.
But I think that having the fixed things that you know that this is what we can do for this, or this is what that helps.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Step in, tune in.
We're going to go to a section of our podcast
Okay.
that's rapid questions.
Okay.
So you answer them very quickly, and then at the end of the day, you can only explain one. So you can't explain everything. You will choose
Oh.
the one that you want to explain. But for yours, I will give you two options, and you just tell me which one you pick.
Okay.
So if someone had given you a $1 million wedding budget, would you have agreed to use it all and had a different kind of wedding, or would you have negotiated to keep some?
There's no two ways about that. That's
I like the look you gave me.
like
Like, what are you
what?
saying?
I will keep the money. I will keep let more than 10% of the money.
More than
No, no, no.
10%.
Like what I will use to spend the money
Yes.
to spend on the wedding would not be up to 10%.
Okay, you're not supposed to have explained, but I'm allowed this.
Ah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine. So when you think of wedding well spent on a wedding, what matters to you? What do you think it is? Is it guest experience or personal meaning?
Guest experience.
Guest experience. Okay. If no one would judge you, would you do exactly what you love, or would you do things in your wedding because of what other people want,
I'll do exactly what I love.
irrespective of? I'm the one making you explain that, but irrespective
I
of
mean, I've already done what I
you
love.
did what you
I
love.
have no
Yes,
regrets.
yes. So, if you could only splurge, and this is similar to, but if you could only splurge, if you could only splurge on one thing, or what did you choose? Because you're married, maybe I should say it as, what was the one thing that you said, no matter what, I am going to choose to splurge on this?
Oh, that was production. If I had much more to splurge on my wedding, I would have made it a movie. Like I would have had
Hmm.
more videographers, more photographers, them doing interview, them making like a proper wedding movie. I'm a sucker for for things like that. So that's what I would have done.
Okay. Then would you lose relationships over your wedding budget or doing what you want? Or would you spend to please the people if it is at that point of make or break?
Hmm. I'm very particular about relationships. I don't believe in losing relationships over temporary things like a wedding.
Okay. So let me rephrase. Let me give you
Okay.
let me say this in a way that might make it different for you. So you know how there's some uncles, and for a lot of Nigerians, it's financial pressure. You
Mm,
from uncles that might not have even been very close to you all through your growing up, and then
yeah,
when the wedding comes, they are making demands. For people like that, would you rather lose that relationship or do what you or go out of your way? Because sometimes people spend out of their way to
I
keep
understand
everybody
now. The
happy.
relationship already means nothing to me. I really only care about people that have direct influence on me, which is like my direct family, my immediate family, which is my mom, my dad, my siblings, and my friends will even come before extended family
Mm.
sometimes, right? So nobody can have that kind of influence on me. I rather not. I probably don't talk to you every time. I probably don't know you, so I'll keep the relationship like that. Lose my number, please.
Okay, thank you so much once again for coming on our podcast. Thank you for joining us on today's episode of the Naughty Details. I think it's very important as brides plan their wedding that they understand that there's no point breaking the bank for things that you won't care about. And there's no point breaking the bank for people who wouldn't even matter after the wedding day. When you're planning your wedding, focus on the things that matter to you and your spouse. Every other thing, treat it as a negotiable. It can be moved around, it can be changed, it can be done away with. Thank you, Anne, for joining us. So tell us, what are the things that you love to do for people and how can they find you?
Oh, aside being a content creator at Anointed, I have a YouTube channel, Anointed as well. You can follow me on all my social platforms. I am a really nice person to follow, I promise
You
you.
are.
I am also like a content producer, so I produce content for brands, personal brands, big brands. And I also run a couple of businesses. I run a business called Scribed It. It's a thoughtful gift shop in summary. Also own like a content production company as well. So yeah.
Can you tell us how to spell anointed? Because it's
Yeah. So
actually really
Anointed
cute.
is like a pun on my name. So
Yes.
it's like Anne, which is my name, Ann with an E. The E, my name is very necessary, although it's silent. Right. So it's Anne with an E, then dot ointed. So it's like you're saying anointed.
Yes, that's
O
that's
I
so
N
that's so
T E
nice
D.
and cute.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'm working on an ebook called The Stabby Bride. I hope I release it before this episode, but it was born from conversations that I've had with friends and my loved ones when they're planning their wedding and trying to make financial decisions around it. Some of the things that we've discussed here are mentioned in terms of what matters to you and knowing when to cut the cost and when to just move on and decide around what you want your wedding day to be as it relates to you financially. And I hope that when it comes out, I hope it's helpful for you. Thank you for joining us. We remain the Dirty Details podcast where we talk about behind the scenes of wedding planning, some things that people don't want to talk about or we shy away from, but are very important because a wedding creates memories that last a lifetime.
Hey, 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 hey. Step in, tune in. We begin. Hey! Rings on the table, coffee still warm. Stories and confessions right before the storm.